Have you heard of passport indices? They're a way to rank the strength of your passport. One of the most popular rankings is the Henley Passport Index. Their latest list is out and it says Singapore has the world's strongest passport. It's usually either Singapore or Japan. They've been swapping the top spot for the last 5 years, even tying for the first place in 2019. But what makes their passport so powerful? How are these ranks calculated? What does it really say about your country? Which are the worst performers and where does India stand? Here's a report.
It's that time of year again. The latest Henley Passport Index is out, and this time Singapore has clinched the top spot. It's not all that surprising. The island nation has an enviable record when it comes to the Henley Passport Index. In the last 6 years, it usually ranked first or second. It has been continuously vying for the top spot with another Asian powerhouse, Japan. The land of the rising sun is also a land of effortless international travel. The passport rankings prove this, because Henley ranks passports in a simple way. For every country that lets you enter without a visa, your passport gets a point. This applies to completely visa-free travel, visas on arrival, visitors permits, or an electronic travel authority or ETA when entering the destination. The easier it is for you to enter a country without applying for a visa first, the higher your passport is ranked. It's that simple. Henley calculates the points out of 227. That's for 227 different travel destinations. It's more than the countries on Earth because of special requirements or travel to disputed territories. Henley calculates the rank of 199 passports. So this year, Singapore's passport lords over 198 others. And how many places can you enter visa-free with a Singaporean passport? 192. Yes, with Singapore's shiny red passport, you can just hop on a plane and 192 countries will let you arrive on their shores without a visa. Last year, it was 193 countries for a Japanese passport, but that number has fallen by 4 this year to 189. So the Japanese passport languishes at third place, below Germany, Italy and Spain, who are all tied for the second place at 190 visa-free destinations. Japan is tied with the likes of Austria, Finland, France, Luxembourg, South Korea and Sweden. Of course, that's not bad company at all. Compare that to the bottom of the rankings. Dead last this year, like every other year in the last decade barring 2018, is Afghanistan. 2018 was a rare blip. That year, it was Iraq that ranked last. It usually beats Afghanistan at least, but it's always at the bottom of the rankings as well, as are Syria, Somalia, Yemen and Pakistan. These are the countries with the weakest passports around. And you'll notice a pattern. Rich Asian and European countries at the top, poor, war-torn, economically handicapped countries at the bottom. Which makes sense. How can a government negotiate better travel terms when it's busy with a war or famine? But there's also another correlation. Which country is more likely to produce illegal immigrants? And which country is likely to have citizens that don't want to leave? It's hard to measure a country's attractiveness, but per capita income is a decent indicator. And all your top passport countries have high per capita incomes. They're also usually democracies. These points could explain the absence of China. It's not a democracy, and while it is rich in terms of GDP, in per capita terms, it holds a middling rank. And what about the US, the world's richest nation, the so-called oldest democracy? Well, it's 8th in the passport rankings, down from 7th place last year. Americans can now enter 184 countries without a passport, down from 186 from a year ago. What explains this? Well, another aspect of visa-free access is cordial diplomacy. You know, being seen as a friendly nation. We'll leave it up to you to decide how friendly the US seems. What about India, the rising global power? Well, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that the Indian passport is now ranked 80th, up 7 spots from last year's ranking. The bad news? Indian passport holders can enter only 57 countries without a visa, down from 60 last year. Yes, India's rank went up, even though visa-free travel destinations went down. Basically, some other nations lost even more access than India. and the Indian passport benefited as a result. Of course, the passport rankings can only tell you so much. They don't accurately depict global realities. After all, financially crippled Latin American nations like Argentina and Venezuela still rank relatively high. So, passport indices aren't some all-knowing markers of a country's progress. But they are essential information for one thing: deciding which passport to get if you had a choice or want to apply for dual citizenship.